Welcome back to the Long Lens Podcast. This is the podcast where I answer questions from my filmmaking and YouTube community, and we just talk about YouTube and filmmaking. Today, I'm pretty excited because I have a special guest on today's episode. Spencer Torok is a filmmaker, editor, and he creates digital assets, which he sells on his website, The Creative Herd. So a lot of the textures and different title packs that you see in my videos, Spencer creates those. So yeah, it's a really cool conversation today with Spencer. We talk a little bit about skateboarding and filmmaking and the whole filmmaking niche on YouTube. So without any further ado, let's get into today's episode with Spencer Torok. So Spencer, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, same. I'm stoked to be here. Thank you.
Cool, man. Well, I already kind of gave a little bit of an intro about like who you are and what you do, but like if you had to describe yourself, what would you say that you are? Because I know that you do editing, you do a lot of filming.
Yeah, I mean, I tell a lot of people that like I'm in production. I'm a full-time freelancer, but I'm like 70%, if not 80%, just an editor, and then like the other 20%. Sometimes I'm just like shooting on set, or like even PAing, or just like helping out as like a swing or something. So yeah, a lot of my time in a dark room, just straight up editing, that's kind of why the content I make online is all surrounding that.
Do you prefer one over to the other? Like, do you really like editing, or do you almost wish you could do it less and do like actual camera op more? Or?
I think it's like seasons, honestly, and like projects as well. But yeah, like sometimes all I want to do is be in the edit room on certain projects, but then it gets lonely. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, I wish I could just be on set helping people, whether it's just like moving a light stand or getting sandbags for people. So that's when I kind of like take on those jobs to just like get myself out of this room.
Just to get a little bit of your backstory out of the way, like how long have you been in like the filmmaking space?
I went to film school like straight out of high school. Highly overrated. So yeah, like went into debt immediately, but like learned a lot and like had a good network. So like literally since high school, I started working in agencies that's when I was just like, oh, I think I want to be like an assistant editor. And like I started to work my way up in that way, because going to film school at least gave me like the glimpse of how grueling actual real like set is, to be like, yeah, normal days are 12 hours. You're working like pretty much just like months at a time or weeks at a time. And then there's nothing. So it's like on or off. And I was like, I don't know if I love that, and I don't know if my body will love that. So yeah, I started working in agencies, just being like an editor, and then like almost until COVID, I was doing that for different companies and like worked my way into like kind of like a corporate life. And then COVID hit, and I was just like, I think I want to do something different. And I started working for Matt Diavella out of like honestly like a stroke of luck. And then that kind of just like showed me a new light of just kind of the landscape of what freelance could be.
I guess I didn't know that you went to film school and were in like that world already, which is pretty cool. Since you're the first skateboarder who's also a filmmaker that I've had on the podcast, and the podcast is called the Long Lens Podcast. Did you ever film skateboarding? And if you did, what was did you like long lens or fisheye filming?
That's like an absolutely loaded question. That's like how I got my start in filmmaking, though. Even like to know that I liked it enough to go to film school was like, I was just out here with my friends filming skating, like in Final Cut, making like dumb movies. I honestly think it depends on the camera. Like if you have a zoom rocker, long lens all day, baby. Like now that I shoot with like camcorders and stuff, I'll still go out and shoot skating. And I love filming long lens because you can just like sit there and zoom and get creative, like, and do something different every single try.
I totally agree. I definitely think that you feel cooler filming fisheye because like
yes.
you're like right at the stair set or the gap, or you're following the skateboarder, but it is so much. I mean, like for one, it hurts your back if you do it for super long periods of time.
Yes.
But yeah, long lens just is a funner way to film, I think.
Yeah. And you look like such a kook as well, because you're just like, people will be like walking by and be like, what's this guy like just in the street with a camera? And they're like, well, it's like, I'm filming that guy way over there.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of leads me into my next question, which is, what was your first camcorder? Were you a VX?
No, I think I always wanted to, but it was like so expensive back in the day. And the camera that I ended up getting was still expensive, but it was a GL2, Canon GL2. Just wasn't the same. But it still had the zoom rocker and stuff. It still was like an actual camcorder. I couldn't even, I remember trying to like mod a fisheye lens back in the day where you'd like take the glass out and stuff. But like even that wasn't the same. Like I couldn't get the same look.
My first camcorder was like this old Panasonic like palmcorder, but once I finally got into like a one that had a FireWire port, I had the GL1. That was like my first like good camcorder. But yeah, I did the exact same thing where I think it's like the Raynox lens, and then you take like the wide angle piece of glass from a different one, and then you super glue it on the inside, and then it kind of looks like the Mark I Century Optics one.
I wanted somebody to like do an experiment where they make like a fisheye that is on like one of these mirrorless cameras for like a Panasonic or something that shoots like open gate. I don't know. I know there's like a bunch of fisheyes out on the market, but it's just those ones back in the day had such a different quality to them, and like I don't know, it's just not the same. I don't know, maybe I'm just like too nostalgic about it to be like, no, the Canon 816 is not it's like also like $3,000 or whatever.
It's hard for people who like I feel like weren't in the filmmaking or like the skateboarding world to think that looks good, but like whenever a skateboarder sees like, you know, a VX1 MK1 Century Optics, like we just know that look and we know why it looks so good. How long have you been skateboarding?
Oh my gosh. Probably like, I feel like I should be better than I am now that I'm like looking back at how long it's been. It's probably like 15 years.
That's exactly how I feel. It's like I think it's been like around 20 or 25 for me, but like when I tell people that, I think they expect me to be a lot better than I am.
Yeah. It's like, why can't you like, I guess because it's crazy nowadays, but it's just like, why can't you just like kick back tail, big spin out? Like, where's that? You can't do that first try? That's crazy.
It's like, no, I can do a kickflip on flat though. That's about all I got.
There's something to be said about like filming skating too. Cause you're like, you pull up and you're like, okay, I'm going to film some skateboarding, whether it's a skate park or a spot. And it's like, people also don't realize that like, you're doing it in like 4 or 5 tries, maybe 10 tries. So you're doing the things that you actually know how to do. If you're like, yeah, I'm going to backflip this rail, that's like in my bag of tricks, versus like, yeah, I'm not going to try like a big spin back tail because that'll take me like 2 hours to film and I want to be at home by then.
Did you ever experience like when you were filming your friends, like did you ever experience a time where it's like they're trying a trick that you know you can do in like 5 tries, but they're spending like an hour trying to land it?
There might have been some times like back in the day, but also like as a filmer, you want to be filming people who are like better than you.
Like I found myself in the situation where I liked filming so much that I didn't care who I was filming. And I did end up in those situations where it's like, you know, I'd be filming a dude try like this trick and he's spending an hour on it and I'm trying to be nice and be like, oh, you got it. But it's just like, dude, I know that if I tried this, I could probably get it in like 5 tries.
Man. So that never swayed you? You just kept doing your thing?
Like I was never going to be good enough to like take skateboarding anywhere. So I just was like, okay, maybe I can make it as a skate filmer. But then I realized unless you're like a staff filmer for like a really big company, you're pretty much not going to make it as a skate filmer. So it's like, okay, like I like making videos. I need to figure out how to pivot this into something that can actually make me money.
When I came out of film school, I was thinking that exact same thing. Our like last thing was like, you have to go intern somewhere for like hours or whatever. And so I tried to intern at one of the magazines in Canada right as the time that like all the magazines were kind of like cutting except for Thrasher. So he was just like, yeah, dude, like you can come and like be on like kind of follow the staff video people around. But at the same time, like we're also stopping as a company soon. So I was like, oh, there's not really like a future in this life as well. So it was like one of those moments that was just like, damn, okay, that's kind of like really the thing that sparks me because there's so much like creativity in that world. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'll figure out something else.
It's kind of a harsh reality, I feel like, for a lot of aspiring skate filmers, you know, when we see people that we like really look up to, like, I don't know who your favorite skate filmers are, but like, you know, I look up to Kyle Camarillo and you know, Ty Evans and Jason Hernandez, like those guys, like they're just doing exactly what I wish I could be doing. But at the same time, it's kind of cool that we have YouTube now and we see all these, you know, pro skaters, you know, starting their own channels with their iPhones and like kind of building a career that way.
Back in the day, Jason Hernandez made some crazy videos. of just like kind of like letting us peek into the world of like what gear and like how to use it and all that stuff. But those New Balance dudes right now are absolutely killing it with the video quality that they're putting out.
Did you watch Intervals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I've been like saving it on my my watch later playlist, but I need to watch that because I know it's going to be insane.
Something that you just need like a half an hour of like, I'm just going to tune in.
Well, I kind of want to get into like your YouTube journey a little bit. I was kind of doing a little bit of stalking on your YouTube channel, and it looks like you started it like 8 years ago. Did you have like any other channels before then?
I did have a skate channel. It's called Push Fast.
Okay.
And like that, I started probably like 15 years ago when I started skating. So there's a lot of like old videos on there. And then I kind of just stopped because like I grew up and I was like, oh, I'm going to make short film. I'm going to make movies. Like that also wasn't the case. But then I actually started that channel that you were looking at, like my main channel, like when I got my dog, Winston. And I was just like documenting like his growth essentially. So there was like just like random cringy vlogs and stuff that were up there. So like so much stuff is like private in the back end of that.
I have like 2 or 3 different channels that I don't know how to log into anymore because I forgot the password to the email account that I use. And so I can't delete them or even log in. So like there's stuff out there if you like search hard enough that like is just the cringiest stuff ever. But yeah, I think I started my first YouTube channel like 2006, and that channel I cannot get into, but it's still up.
What is it
like? Oh, the content was just like skate content. It's like my old GL1 days where I did an entire video of like time lapsing me building like a grind box, which like it blew up and got like 50,000 views back in like 2007 or something like that. There are videos that are really hard to watch because like knowing what I know now, like I thought that I knew what I was doing back then. You know what I mean?
You got to give yourself grace, you know? Like I was looking at a bunch of old videos because I was applying to the like that like moment thing that they have going on right now. So I was pulling a bunch of old content to cut in, and the same thing that you just said, I was like, this is one of the cringiest things I've ever watched. And at the time I thought it was absolutely groundbreaking. Like
I used to think that I knew what I was doing, you know, back in those days. And I was so like adamant that like, oh, I got this dialed. As I get better at doing this, I feel less confident that I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm still like just at like the very like base of like, you know, the base of knowledge that I could have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so funny. But you're just like out here and this is your full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like stumbling forward, I feel like, you know what I mean? I did want to talk to you a little bit about, I mean, it's kind of skipping ahead in my questions, but since you brought it up, I kind of wanted to talk about your YouTube goals and that moment residency and where that stands right now, like if you've heard anything more, because you talked about it a little bit on your podcast, The Creative Herd with Jake. And I was just kind of wondering, like, have you heard anything more from that? And like, where do you see your YouTube channel going in the future?
Yeah, I thought it was a cool opportunity. Like for those of you who like don't know, the brand Moment like opened a residency program and they're like accepting creators to like make stuff on their behalf, and they're giving them like kind of a salary. And with that comes like a mentorship as well as like the opportunity to work on your own channel. So for me, like I haven't heard anything because I did get one email the other day and it was just like, hey, thanks for applying. We have an overwhelming amount of people, because like why wouldn't they? You know, it's a cool opportunity. I'm sure there's like literally thousands of people who applied. So yeah, I like put my name in the bucket for that. The bigger picture, I guess, for the channel is like ultimately it would be cool to go full time. It's just figuring out like how that makes sense and like what I can actually like give. I really want to be able to like provide value in a way, and that like I feel like pendulum always swings to be like I just want to have fun and get paid, but also like provide value and get paid. So that opportunity was cool because it was just like, hey, we'll pay you a base. And for me, I'm just like, okay, that would be really great so that I could stop like freelancing essentially and just be like, let me just focus, like solely focus on a single thing instead of just like whatever job I have that week, whether it's on set or just some corporate video. I wish I had a more concrete answer in terms of like where the channel's headed, but I see a lot of just like editing content, like digital products right now for me are kind of like my bread and butter and kind of like a guiding light to be like, oh man, I'm actually like making money. This could make sense. But there's a large part of me that like obviously still loves filmmaking. So I don't want to just like be at a desk, like talking and being like, here's how you do a crossfade transition. Like,
I feel that. I think the first time that I ever like was interacting with you at all, you like sent me a link to some of your digital assets, like some textures. I don't know if it's because you saw the textures that I was using and they sucked, but you just like sent me some free textures and I've been using them in my videos like ever since. Your YouTube channel and like your digital products, like do they make up like a significant amount of your monthly income, or is it more just kind of like a small passive thing and editing is still kind of the main?
Editing is still definitely the main thing. However, like in the grand scheme of like the YouTube creator journey, like it's a significant portion of it. Like I'm starting to see a little bit of traction versus like the YouTube ad revenue and like brands and stuff is pretty much at like a zero mark. You know, like I maybe make like $100 on YouTube a month maybe, but if I can funnel an audience to like spend money on the shop, it creates like a really great passive income. And I think it's just focusing on like, okay, how do I get that to be like a couple thousand a month? Because then that's a significant amount that I can like dwindle my like freelance clients all the way down.
I totally get that. And I feel like if it makes you feel any better, you know, like my videos haven't been doing super well in the last couple of months. This is probably what, you know, factors into it. But like, I feel like my AdSense revenue is like $300 or something like that. Like it's really low. And a lot of people, they don't understand. I feel like that like AdSense is like such a small drop in the bucket when it comes to your revenue as a YouTuber. You really have to rely on, you know, sponsorships, affiliate links, and like selling digital products.
Fair. Yeah. Unless you're like,
especially in this niche, especially in like the filmmaking niche, I think. Yeah. If you're, you know, a finance dude or Mr. Beast type of person, you're probably making a lot more in AdSense revenue than someone like me. But yeah, I feel like I feel like they always have kind of like a weird perspective on, you know, Google AdSense. They think as soon as you're monetized, you're going to start making like thousands and thousands.
Yeah. Dude, I know you've thought about this at one point, but the Gifted Hater, do you watch Gifted Hater? Okay. Sometimes I'll catch myself and I'm like, I just watched an hour video fully. The retention rate on him is crazy, which like, he's probably not the only niche, but because that like blends the interests, I'm like, his ad revenue is probably pretty good.
Dude, and he has like multiple channels and a Twitch and a Patreon, and he's just like, I mean, he's a smart dude, but like he's probably doing pretty well for himself.
That's crazy. It's all about like, I guess, just retention and click through, and that might impact. I mean, I say that knowing literally zero, but I'm like, that must impact how much your AdSense is.
In like 2020, I did pretty well in AdSense, but I think that's because that was like the first spike of my channel, you know, where I'd make like $1,200 to $2,000 in AdSense back then. But it's nowhere near that anymore. So that's why I've had to pivot so much with my YouTube channel and just figure out how to keep it going. And I even still,
interesting.
Like, I'm probably going to make an entire video about how like I'm not technically a full-time YouTuber, at least not right now, because I do take on freelance clients as far as like, you know, just being a camera op, just to bring in the money that I used to get from AdSense, I guess.
Yeah. Is that like the biggest change? Like, what do you think is the biggest step that you've taken in terms of how YouTube's changed and how your channel's changed? Like, it's just like, I guess I got to go back to cam opping, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because I think it's mostly me and the type of content that I want to create. Like, I feel like I know the content that does well, but I just don't want to make that content anymore. And so it's like, I'm kind of having to come to grips with that now, where it's like, do I just want to make mindless camera videos where I just talk about the latest and greatest camera and just adopt the model of renting 2 cameras every month from Lens Rentals, talking about them and then giving them back? And it's just like, I just don't want to do that anymore. You know, like that's just seems like, it just doesn't seem like, I mean, like no shade to anyone that does that, but like, it just doesn't seem like something that I'd want to do. So like,
yeah, it's a closed loop.
Exactly. So it's like, I kind of want to like make a little bit more, you know, documentary short films, you know, still take people behind the scenes, but like move it more towards that direction and not so much about just doing tutorials or reviews. Even though those are the ones that get the views, and I still might, I'm not like, making like these hard set rules for myself, but I'm trying to like do stuff that I'm going to be proud to, hopefully show my kids one day. It's like, hey, I made this micro doc on my own dime and I posted it on YouTube and whatever, even if it doesn't do well.
Yeah. Which that has been cool. I definitely have noticed that switch up to be like, instead of just like talking about the thing, it's like now you've made the conscious choice in such a sea of people to be like, okay, I'm gonna do the thing instead of talk about the thing, which is nice.
And it's hard because I know that like that video that I did on the DJI mics, like I made like this little like, really short micro doc in the beginning, which probably was the wrong place to put it. I should have put it at the end of the video, but like I loved doing that. And I was like so much more stoked on that video because I made something with the mics as opposed to just talking about the features of them. It kind of bombed. So I'm just like, maybe that's not the best way to do it, like the best way to go.
Yeah, it's so weird to have it linked with just like, I really loved this, but it didn't do well, so it must have sucked. And it's like, that's can't be true.
Yeah, I just got to figure out a better way to package it. I feel like that's kind of my like what I'm trying to learn. Something I did want to like ask, because I know that like you and me, we probably consume a lot of skateboarding content. How has like skateboarding affected your creativity, I guess? Like, do you think that it's had like a pretty big impact? Because like I watch a lot of your videos and it does, like, even if I didn't see you skateboarding for some reason, I could almost tell you've watched skate videos just by like how you put together an edit.
You get taught the montage edit. I think that's like the core of skateboarding, like especially a young filmmaker who's skateboarding, like it taught me how to make a montage. So like I've literally been making montages since like 2008. You know what I mean? Like, so now when I'm like cutting a montage, I'm like, it probably feels kind of the same. So it might feel, you're like just intuitively cutting on the beat or whatever, that like maybe if as a new filmmaker that's just starting might still be like, oh, okay, yeah, like this feels like a good place to cut, versus like in my head, there's all these rules that I've just made up over the years.
Talking about Jason Hernandez again, like I feel like his montage edits that he made, like they kind of like made me feel something too, and almost like made me like want to go skate, like that feeling that like after you watch like a really sick montage, you want to go skate. And that's always like what I try to put into like any type of montage edit that I make is like, I want to make people feel something, like inspired or whatever.
Totally. That's such a good way to put it.
So kind of going back into the YouTube conversation, how is working for other YouTubers affected the type of content that you create? Because you worked for Matt Diavella, which is like, he's pretty iconic at this point. Is there any other like notable YouTubers that you've worked with, and have they like affected the way you make videos? Or
Matt has definitely impacted me the most on terms of just like a mental like checklist sort of way, and like in like a theory type of way. I got to work with Zach, who I've also like been able to work with for his channel a little bit. And like talking with him, he shares the same sentiment of just like working in the camera niche while being like into cameras, and that being your niche is easily the hardest thing because it's like a weird closed loop. The biggest takeaways for sure were just like the ways in which he would do stuff or approach stuff, like certain montages, to be like, yeah, have those like things in the back of your head, like you were saying, to be like, okay, if I'm going to make somebody feel something, what are the ways that I can actually do that? To not just like show a few clips, but to actually like tell a whole story. And like for me, I don't think I was like, there's so much that I know how to do, but not necessarily like actually executing it on my channel. Cause you're just like, oh, I'm just going to make a video about this. And like, because it's not my full-time gig, like you're just making the bare minimum, but then kind of having somebody be like, no, you need to like actually like show everything and not tell, like make a whole story about it. Like everything can be a story if you like just write it. And I'm like, ugh, yeah, like there's so many little tidbits that I've taken away and like implemented over like just probably like the last 3 years. I feel like I have really started to make like actual videos.
What's been like your favorite video that you've posted in the last couple of years? I know that there's one that got you like kind of viral with your dog, but I don't know if that was on Instagram or on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, that one was fun too. It did horrible on YouTube, but yeah, I put an Insta360 on my dog, and like both TikTok and Instagram blew up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of hilarious, but yeah, it's just like something that you wouldn't see, like follow me while skateboarding. Like, but I think I think I had just finished working for Matt, or I was still working with him, but I made this video about like camcorders, and like it was my first time, instead of just being like, I bought cameras, here's the footage, and like I'm like, what, like how can I inject some of myself into it and to like share with like why I'm making these purchases. And I still didn't script anything, which is hilarious, but it's like the top performing video on my channel right now of like, maybe you should buy a camcorder. And it was just like this question basically that I had with this video, that I'm just like, I really want like I want somebody to make like a camera that's like the Fuji X100T or X or like V, one of those iconic cameras, but make it how a photographer is like, this is the best like walk around pocketable type of camera. Like I want a video form of that. So I spent a long time like going to different camera brands and be like, who is the best like pocketable walk around thing? So that was like a branch of that, to be like, okay, I'm going to try camcorders, because like it's that camera, they've been around forever and there's like good limitations with them. So I made a video on that, injected a little bit of story into it, and like had some story beats with it that I like kind of learned from both Zach and Matt. Did some editing magic to it, and somehow it just like resonated with people. And I was like, okay, there's something here. Maybe it's actually me being myself and scripting a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably, I mean, not just because it's your best performing video, but I think that's one of my favorite videos that you've done, because I think it came out right at the right time too. Where,
yeah, totally.
Like, I don't know if you, like, I hadn't seen a lot of camcorder videos, and I'm not saying that other people were like copying you, but like I did see a lot of camcorder videos come out just shortly after that, where people are making very similar videos. But you know, you talking about it specifically, it's not like you are unfamiliar to camcorders, because you grew up, you know, filming skateboarding too. So it almost like make it have more impact on me, where it's like, oh, okay, well, there's like a skate filmer talking about it. Yeah, that's rad, man. I think that was a really cool video. And I also like all the videos that you do. And this is weird, because like I can like watch videos forever about cameras that I never intend on owning or ever purchasing, but I just like watching them for some reason. Like I watched all your videos on the C70 and like the R7, you know, comparisons. And for some reason, those are just like, I don't know, those are just like comfort videos for me. I really like them.
Yeah. Comfort videos is such a good way to put it. Like that's what I feel like that's what I want to make, you know? It's like, if you, especially now, as I like realize that I don't want to just be like having screen recordings for my video and teaching people stuff. I'm like, how can you make like a tutorial, like a comfort video that somebody would just like throw on and eat? Cause like I wouldn't do that, but like there's something there, you know, like I'm going to put like Cord or Crew on or go on Thrasher and see what's latest and watch some talking or Gifted Hater or something like that. But if you can make like a comfort video that like, even if I'm not going to buy the thing, it's just it's an interesting like thought that I haven't figured out.
Exactly. I think that's one of like the most upvoted comments on one of my latest videos that did okay, was that it was just like soothing for them to watch. And I just like, oh, okay, I like that. Like, that's kind of a nice compliment.
That's an amazing compliment.
Just have a very soothing video that like, it was about the original Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. And I'm just like, I know that like, I'm not making like affiliate money off of it. Like there's really nothing in it for me other than to just, you know, show people how much I like the camera. And I think that was, you know, kind of the same sentiment. It was just like, oh, this is just like a soothing video to watch, you know?
Mm-hmm. A little bit of nostalgia, plus they can actually like feel like anything that like injects your own personality in it. Like, oh, he actually like really does like the little like OG pocket. That's sick.
Well, I also wanted to ask you a little bit about, and this is just because like I listened to the Creative Herd podcast, and this is from an episode like a little while back with you and Jake, but we've already touched on it a little bit, but like the making content in the filmmaking niche, and how like, you know, creators and filmmakers are kind of like who our audience is, as opposed to making stuff that would like branch out, I guess, to a bigger audience. Mm-hmm. And is that ever something that you would think about doing, is like, you know, making a channel that has nothing to do with filmmaking and just do it on a different, you know, hobby or interest that you have?
Okay, like hear me out. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't have any other hobbies, man.
Yeah.
Like I think about this all the time, because like it would be so easy. Like even my partner is like kind of in the same industry. Like she's like in musical theater and she's an actor, and I like we talk about like creating all the time because she is like a fan of TikTok and stuff. And I'm like, even you have a hard time because I don't see it. Like, but if you're like into like making gardens or like pottery or something, like it's just such an easy, like I can see it, you know? It's just an easy, like, yeah, I'm just gonna film the process of like making this thing, or like I'm like a carpenter or a woodworker. I would love to pick up a new hobby, and I've thought about skateboarding so many times to be like, what's a different spin on it? And maybe you've even heard me talk about it, but like in my eyes, like a comfort skateboarding thing would be like laved up, some jazz music in the background, you kind of like on a wide lens far away, and that's it. You just get to watch the session while you're kind of like podcasting to yourself, or maybe you're with a friend or something. It's like, yeah, maybe you land a trick, maybe you don't, but you get to talk through it and like also listen. It's just like, I don't know what else we would make the people who are interested in, unless you're like got a totally different hobby.
Well, it's hard too, especially when like, I don't know, the stuff you consume the most is the stuff that I feel like I tend to want to make the most. Like my second channel used to be all about my van and, like a van camping and stuff.
True.
And I tried making a couple videos on that, and some of, like a couple of them did okay, but it's like, I just end up talking about cameras anyways. And so like, that's why I just kind of pivoted my second channel into just being like, my BS channel that I just throw very low effort videos onto, and my podcast, which isn't BS. I like my podcast, but there's a lot of videos that I throw up on my second channel that are just like, I made them in like 30 minutes or whatever. It's definitely hard when like you're most interested in filmmaking and that's just what you kind of want to make content for. But I felt the same way with skateboarding. It's just like, it would be way easier for me to make skateboarding related content, and I wouldn't have to worry about color grading or, the rule of thirds or upstage lighting or anything like that with skateboarding. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, who's that guy that like talks about like trucks and board sizes and stuff? Do you know that guy? He's like from Vancouver, I think.
Yeah. His name is Ben DeGrow.
Yeah, Ben DeGrow. Dude.
Yeah.
He started making videos. I was like, yeah, I get it. All right. And I find myself watching them, even though I don't care. But it's like kind of this comfort thing of like, he's gonna talk about this, and some of it will stick with me. Probably a large portion of it won't, but then I'll get to see him skate, like, and why like an 825 board is better than an 8125, and maybe I'll try one. I don't know.
And that's weird too, because it's like I look at I see him and it's like I don't know enough about skateboard technology to be able to talk about stuff the way that he does. You know what I mean?
Nor is that interesting, but for some reason I'm watching it and it just works for him. There's nothing that, it's so difficult because you're exactly right. Like even the other hobbies, like I tried to pick up FPV for a bit and I was like, this is the same. It's the same. I'm doing the same. It's just adjacent. Like,
well, and that kind of leads me into my next question about imposter syndrome, because I don't know if you get like this, and I try not to compare myself to other people, but like sometimes when I watch Giancarlo Stigliano or just other people that are just kind of killing it in the filmmaking space right now, I'm just like, man, I'm just a kook in comparison. You know what I mean? Like I don't like my stuff isn't nearly as cool as him. And I feel the same way in skateboarding. Like it doesn't matter how good I get at skateboarding, there's always going to be a 13-year-old Japanese kid that can, destroy me.
It's hard, man. Like, I don't know if there's, like in my eyes, there's not really a way out other than just, I try to remind myself like what path I'm on, and I kind of put myself on that path, because especially like when you're stretched in a couple different ways and you're absorbing different content and different people, to be like, damn, like I can't believe they made like this whole short doc, and like why aren't I making these short docs, like, or a full movie? Oh, because that's like they've been focused on that for like 5 years. Right. Okay. Like that's where their whole focus is, their whole passion is. Like my passion is, I just have to come back and be like, it's here, it's in these things, and that's why I do it. And those little like constant reminders and check-ins, not to say that you can't go and do those things, it's just like you just got to realize that the paths are a little bit different, and that like you can totally course adjust and be like, you know what? Yeah, I actually do want to make a short film. Now give myself the 3 years that it'll take to like write, produce, and edit this whole thing to look like the thing that you just got stoked by and a little bit shamed by.
Like, I definitely think that it's like what you said earlier, like you got to kind of give yourself grace a little bit, because someone said this to me recently where it's just like, like your floor is somebody else's ceiling, it's like people are trying to get to where you are, even if you are still, not happy with where you're currently at. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people that wish they had, 22,000 subscribers and worked for Matt Diavella like you do. And I'm sure there's probably people that want the amount of subscribers that I get, even though I'm trying to like, surpass that and get, make bigger gains in my career.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm trying to keep that perspective when I, constantly feel like an imposter, but it's difficult sometimes.
I think there's also something about taste too. Like back in the day, like when we first started, like your taste was totally different than it is now. Like it was still developing. You liked a smaller amount of things, so you knew when things were good and bad. And now our taste is refined, and it's like, it's like just accurate, and it makes it harder to be like, now I'm so critical of myself versus back then. It's just like, I just need some salt and pepper, and now you're like, I'm a full chef now. I went to culinary school. Like
exactly, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I kind of wanted to end it on something that I feel like I end up talking about cameras on the Long Lens podcast a lot. So I think that's kind of a good place to kind of try to land the plane, because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your camera journey, because I've seen you go from Canon to, I think you're on Sony now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had plenty of others in between, but yeah, can you kind of like take me through your camera journey from like kind of when you first started really getting into filmmaking? Because everybody asks me, and it's like, well, it depends on like what stage of life I was in.
Totally.
But like my first interchangeable lens camera was like a T2i or whatever. But
nice. Yeah, the 60D was my first like
60D.
Yeah. That was like the first like revolutionary. I had no idea what like frame rates and like shutter speed were. So I started shooting skateboarding, and I was like, why is everything like blurry and stuff? I was like, but I got a DSLR. It's so
I kept on hearing from people like Philip Bloom that, the T2i has a Super 35 sensor, which is going to be great in low light situations. And so I thought that as soon as I got it with the kit lens, I could take it into like the pitch black night and be able to see things outside.
Oh man. Like people will never understand that era,
Yeah.
Like they could buy any camera today and it's infinitely better. Better than it was.
Oh yeah.
We had access to like the most trash like LED light panels of all time, and if you wanted anything more than that, you had to have like $4,000.
I had like Home Depot lights or whatever.
Yes, definitely lighting up spots with that stuff. I think from there I went 60D, 5D, C100, and then I kicked it.
Nice.
I kicked it with the C100 Mark II. I never bought a camera brand new. It was always secondhand. And I had this C100 Mark II forever, shot weddings, and like started shooting corporate videos with that. And it just like felt like a good camera optically. And when I say that, I mean like as from like a client optic. And then I switched from there to, I definitely dabbled in between all these things with like the Blackmagic Pocket OG camera, the Sony RX100, seeing what an A6400 was. And like I was like buying and selling all these like other things, but I would always end up coming back. Like I only ever had one camera at a time because I couldn't afford anything else, but I would always just like be buying and selling, and, like looking at where the market's going. That's ultimately why I sold the C70, is because I try to keep my finger on it. And I was just like, I think something's about to happen and the C70 price is going to dwindle. So if I sell it now, I'll get the best bang for buck. I went from, Canon, and then I hopped over into Zcam. I had the Zcam for a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. And that's what made me want to get the C70, because I was like, this is a great little box camera. I don't mind the form factor, but rigging it out every single time is exhausting. And I just want to pull it out of my bag. I think that's from skateboarding. Just, I want to pull it out and start filming. And the C70 could do that. It had a lot of shortcomings though as well. And now I'm on the FX3. Pray to myself to not switch, because it's an exhausting experience. But I'm happy with the FX3. Shot a bunch of projects with it and have literally no complaints.
Like I am completely agnostic when it comes to cameras. I just happen to be in the Lumix like ecosystem right now, just because I got my S5 IIX from a sponsorship, and then I have a GH5 as well. But if I was ever going to switch, I think it would probably be to Sony. And I think mostly because like, I don't know if this bothers you as much, but like using cameras, you know, with slower readout speeds for some reason, it's just, especially when you're filming skateboarding, because I do film skateboarding on a very rare occasion, but it's just like that wobbly effect on these like slower centered cameras just kind of bums me out. But with your FX3, it's like really, really fast.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. I've never really paid much attention to it. Like even the C100 I was filming skating with.
And I think that's why a lot of skate filmers, at least that I've seen, they shoot on reds just because of the like the global shutter, and they don't have to worry about that at all.
I see a lot of FX6s out there too.
Yeah. FX6, yeah, which is probably just as fast as the FX3. Like I know that Kyle Camarillo shoots Lumix, which is sick. I think he shoots a lot on like the GH6, GH7s for, I think, a lot of like the moving stuff. I know that he's like a Lumix ambassador.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the only like pro skate filmers that I know of that shoots on Lumix. I feel like everybody else is either Sony or Red.
I think they have multiple setups. I think like for those stuff, long lens, they'll choose those cameras. But if they're shooting fisheye, like GH5, GH6, to be able to shoot 4.3, like I feel like Lumix or Panasonic, like in general, is the only ones kind of in the game still that allow you to be able to manipulate that and be like, hey, we'll give you open gate. If you want to shoot 4x3, that's cool with us. And like everybody else is like, no, you can't do that.
Exactly. And it's like, that is the one nice thing that I do like about like my GH5 and S5 IIX is that I can shoot in like a square format, you know? It's like, and like I never shoot with anamorphics, but I like sometimes, I mean, it's kind of like a trend right now where people are, you know, either cropping to 4x3 or they're just shooting in 4x3. I've dabbled in it a little bit because I feel like it does, you know, harken back to the nostalgia of the camcorder days where we were all shooting 4x3 anyways.
Totally. That'll be my next camera.
Yeah.
Some camcorder.
You should all just start switching back to the HVX 200. Shooting on P2 cards again.
You have to make that the end screen of the podcast.
Yeah, Spencer switching to HVX 200.
Just an image of an HVX, because I feel like some people are just like, what is he even talking about?
Well, anyways, man, dude, Spencer, thanks so much for jumping on the podcast, dude. It was a really fun conversation, and I'll definitely have to have you on again. Where can people go to check out your work? And I'm
pretty much just my first and last name, Spencer Torok, on all platforms. So yeah, come over to the YouTube channel. And if you want to like learn about editing and filmmaking. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on. This was super fun. Glad we could do it. Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot. All right, I'll talk to you later. Has anybody logged off at that moment?